Whispers are swirling through the ton, and this time, even Lady Whistledown dares not put pen to paper. Season 4 of Bridgerton is bringing a scandal so shocking, so layered, and so forbidden that the very foundations of Mayfair society may crumble. But what could possibly silence the sharpest tongue in London? The answer lies in Benedict Bridgerton's most dangerous romance, a love story that crosses class lines, ignites rivalries, and unleashes a villain more ruthless than any before. This time, the series will lean heavily into an upstairs-downstairs style, a bit like what fans of Downton Abbey might remember. What that means is we're not only following the glamorous lives of the Bridgertons and their peers, but we're also going to spend more time with the people who work behind the scenes in those grand houses. Walker hinted that we'll get to know the servants, the people who are standing at the door, witnessing it all, and more importantly, we'll hear their stories to dot. It's an approach that can make the show feel richer because the audience gets to see events from completely different angles. Production for Season 4 has officially wrapped, which is both exciting and a little torturous for fans because now comes the wait for new episodes. But the anticipation is made even bigger by the fact that this season will finally give us Benedict Bridgerton's love story with Sophie Beck. Based on Sophie Beckett from the books. Netflix has teased that Benedict will meet Sophie, a mysterious lady in silver, at his mother's masquerade ball, and from there, things will never be the same. The upstairs-downstairs element is also getting some extra love from other cast members. Yaron Ha, who plays Sophie, said that the dynamic will bring a fresh new energy and vibe to the series, and Luke Thompson, our Benedict, pointed out how exciting it is for longtime supporting characters like Mrs. Wilson or John the Footman to step into the spotlight for a change. It's not just about new characters, it's about giving depth to ones we've been seeing in the background for seasons. Showrunner Jess Brownell echoed those thoughts, saying how much fun it is to go downstairs, meet new characters, see new sets, and realize how the lives of servants can reveal more about the main characters. It's a storytelling device that can shake things up in the best way, and it sounds like Season 4 will lean into that fully. Of course, the heart of this season will be Benedict and Sophie's romance. Fans of Julia Quinn's novel An Offer from a Gentleman will recognize the broad strokes, but the show is making some changes, starting with Sophie's surname being Beck instead of Beckett. And if you've read the book, you know that their relationship is far from simple. One of the most dramatic parts of their story is Sophie's imprisonment after a major falling out with Benedict. In the book, Sophie's wicked stepmother, Araminta, tries to have her shipped off to Australia as punishment. That sets up one of the most iconic scenes in the entire Bridgerton book series. Benedict and Violet storming the jail to rescue her. It's a turning point, not just because it exposes Araminta's crimes like embezzling Sophie's dowry, but because it cements Benedict's devotion to Sophie. And honestly, it's hard to imagine the show leaving out such a powerful moment, because without it, the emotional weight of their story wouldn't be the same. Part of what makes this arc so intense is the societal backdrop. Benedict is from a high-ranking family, while Sophie is a servant. Marrying her would be seen as scandalous. And in the book, this leads Benedict to make a desperate offer for Sophie to become his mistress, something she refuses, no matter how much she loves him. That choice shows Sophie's strength and her refusal to compromise her values, and it also fuels the conflict that drives the prison scene later. But Season 4 isn't just promising a rich romance, it also seems to deliver a stronger villain storyline than Season 3 managed. While Cressida Cooper caused trouble last season, her arc fizzled when she was sent to live with her aunt. She was scheming, sure, but not exactly the kind of villain that makes your skin crawl. That's where Lady Araminta, played by Katie Leung, comes in. Araminta's character is getting an expanded backstory in the series, but one thing's already clear. She will be a formidable antagonist. Her actions, including enslaving and abusing her stepdaughter, Sophie, make her a far darker and more dangerous presence than Cressida ever was. And because she's a fresh face for the series, there's room to fully establish her as the season's central villain without any baggage from previous seasons. In addition to all this, Netflix is adding entirely new scenes that weren't in the original novel. One newly released image shows Hyacinth and Eloise hosting Rosamund Lee and Posey Lee in the Bridgerton living room, a meeting that never happens in the book. It's a subtle shift, but it says a lot about how the show is expanding the world beyond the source material. Every season in the ton begins with a flurry of invitations, gowns stitched with care, and whispers about which family will outshine the rest. Yet no event holds more weight than a Bridgerton ball. Violet Bridgerton, ever the gracious hostess, outdoes herself with her annual masquerade, an evening designed not only to dazzle but to tempt fate. Chandeliers drip with candlelight, Music swells through the gilded halls, and every guest hides behind a mask that both reveals and conceals. It is a night where identities blur, rules bend, and longings dare to step into the light. It is here, in this glittering world of illusion, that Benedict Bridgerton's fate takes a sharp and unexpected turn. While his peers preen in jewel-toned silks and embroidered velvets, his gaze settles on a figure unlike any other. She is draped in silver, her gown shimmering like starlight, her mask catching the glow of the chandeliers. There is something about hers, something unpolished yet radiant, that pulls him across the crowded floor. Sophie Beck, though, does not belong among the nobles swirling across the ballroom. She is no debutante awaiting a proposal, no heiress displaying her dowry with carefully rehearsed smiles. She is a servanta woman whose very presence in this room is an act of rebellion. Forced into servitude by her stepmother, Lady Araminta, Sophie has stolen this one night of freedom: the borrowed gown, the mask. The invitation slipped into her hand by kindness or chance, these are her only shields against discovery. When Benedict approaches her, the air seems to crackle. Their conversation is light at first, the kind exchanged between strangers bound by the safety of anonymity. Yet beneath the small talk lies a deeper pull, a recognition that feels as though they have known each other in another life. For Sophie, every word is a gamble. For Benedict, every glance is a revelation. The masquerade becomes their sanctuary. They dance beneath the watchful eyes of London's elite, yet within the steps of the waltz, they are alone. Masks give them permission to confess what they would never dare in daylight. Benedict marvels at her wit, her candor, her refusal to flatter him as so many others do. Sophie, despite her fear, cannot help but be drawn to the warmth in his eyes, the way he looks at her not as a servant or a conquest, but as an equal. But time is a cruel master. Midnight edges closer, and with it, the risk of unmasking. Sophie knows she cannot linger. One slip, one word to the wrong person, and her disguise will unravel. Lady Araminta's wrath would be merciless, and the scandal of a Bridgerton entangled with a servant would destroy them both. And so, as the clock tolls, Sophie slips away into the night, leaving Benedict with nothing but questions and a burning desire to uncover her true identity. What neither of them realizes in that fleeting moment is that their meeting is no accident. It is the spark of a scandal that will grow into something neither the Bridgertons nor the Ton can contain. And it all begins at Violet Bridgerton's glittering masquerade ball, where masks conceal faces and secrets dare to dance. The Bridgerton world has always sparkled with diamonds, chandeliers, and the lilting notes of violins. But beneath the polished floors of grand estates, another world breathes quietly, hidden in the shadows. Season 4 dares to pull back the velvet curtain, showing us not only the glitter of the ballroom but also the grit of the kitchens, the whispers in the corridors, and the lives of those who have always been present yet rarely seen. For the first time, the servants of Mayfair step into the light, maids who polish the silver before every feast, footmen who hold open gilded doors, and housekeepers who guard the secrets of the families they serve. These voices are no longer muted. Their perspectives bring a richness that reframes the Bridgerton story, reminding us that every grand romance unfolds against a backdrop of unseen labor and silent witnesses. The shift is most powerfully felt in Benedict and Sophie's love story. Sophie belongs to the downstairs world, bound by servitude and cruelty under Lady Araminta's rule. Every glance she shares with Benedict is weighted not only by desire but by the stark truth of her position. She is a servant. He is a Bridgerton, a son of privilege. Their affection cannot be measured in stolen kisses. Alanet is tangled in the very fabric of society. A society built on division. The series draws deliberate attention to this divide. We see servants pausing at the edges of ballrooms, watching the lords and ladies they serve drift across the floor. We hear their laughter in the kitchens after the last guest departs, their grievances murmured when no master listens, and their resilience in the face of endless toil. For the first time, their stories are not silent subplots, they are a parallel narrative, a mirror that reflects the excesses of the Ton with stark honesty. This perspective makes Benedict and Sophie's relationship even more dangerous, even more charged. Their romance does not simply defy a cruel stepmother, it defies an entire social order. To love across the invisible line between upstairs and downstairs is not a harmless indulgence, it is a scandal that threatens to unravel both worlds. And yet, there is beauty in these contrasts. The glittering chandeliers above are matched by the flickering hearths below. The whispers of noble gossip find their echoes in the laughter of kitchen maids. Through these juxtapositions, the season paints a fuller portrait of London society, reminding us that every secret ball and forbidden tryst has unseen witnesses whose own lives carry equal weight. What makes this shift so daring is not just the inclusion of these voices, but the way they shape the central love story. Sophie's world is no longer backdrop, it is center stage. Her struggles are not abstract obstacles. They are daily realities that test the strengths of her bond with Benedict. Their romance becomes not just a question of love, but of justice, dignity, and the courage to challenge the walls society has built between them. In choosing to explore the upstairs and downstairs divide, Bridgerton Season 4 breathes new life into its narrative. It is no longer simply a tale of nobles in silks and jewels. It is a story of humanity, of love discovered in the most unlikely places, of voices long unheard, and of a society that trembles when those voices finally demand to be acknowledged. Love, in the world of the Bridgertons, has always been tangled with duty. Matches are weighed against fortunes, family names, and social standing. Yet Benedict Bridgerton has never been one to confine his heart within society's carefully drawn lines. With Sophie Beck, his affection blossoms not in the safety of ballrooms, but in the fragile, forbidden spaces between classes. What begins as intrigue at a masquerade deepens into something he cannot deny. A love fierce enough to challenge the very foundations of the ton. But truths, like candlelight, cannot be hidden forever. The reality of Sophie's position, the daughter of a nobleman, yes, but cast into servitude by a cruel stepmother, soon comes to light. She is no debutante waiting to be courted, no heiress offering an advantageous match. She is a servant, trapped in a world where her hands are worn from labor and her worth is dismissed by those who see only her station. For Benedict, the revelation is a storm. His heart urges him toward her, while his mind wrestles with the weight of his family name. A Bridgerton marrying a servant. It would send shockwaves through society. The gossip alone could taint his siblings' futures, their reputations unraveling beneath the quills of Lady Whistledown and every wagging tongue in Mayfair. Yet desire makes him reckless. He cannot imagine a life without Sophie, and in desperation, he makes a dangerous proposition. If marriage is impossible, let her at least remain by his side as his mistress. The words hang heavy between them. To Benedict, it seems a compromise, a way to claim their love in secret, shielded from society's cruelty. But for Sophie, the suggestion cuts deeper than any blade. She has endured humiliation, cruelty, and a life where her worth was reduced to her labor. To surrender now, to accept the role of mistress, would mean abandoning the one thing she still possesses, her dignity. Her refusal is quiet but firm, laced with both sorrow and steel. She will not trade her principles for comfort, not even for the man she loves. It is a moment that defines her strength, her refusal to bend beneath the weight of a society designed to break women like her. And in that defiance, their love story transforms. It ceases to be a tale of secret trysts and stolen glances, and becomes one of sacrifice, resilience, and the painful cost of staying true to oneself. Benedict is left shaken, caught between longing and shame. He sees in Sophie a woman who deserves not half a life in the shadows, but everything: the respect, the devotion, the partnership that true love demands. And yet, society looms like an unmovable wall, reminding him at every turn of what he risks if he dares to defy it. Their romance, then, is not just passion, it is rebellion. It is a fight against the chains of class, against the whispers of scandal, and against the expectations that bind them both. Love, in this chapter of their story, is not a gentle waltz but a battle that will demand courage, sacrifice, and choices that could alter the Bridgerton legacy forever. In the glittering halls of the Ton, gossip has long been a weapon. Women like Cressida Cooper wield whispers and rumors as their chosen blades, striking with sly remarks and carefully planted lies. But Lady Araminta, Sophie's stepmother, is of a different breed entirely. She is not a social schemer looking for amusement. She is a predator, cold and deliberate, with ambition as sharp as steel. Her cruelty does not reside in cutting words or sly innuendos. It festers in actions, in punishments designed to break the spirit as much as the body. Araminta's power lies in her control. When Sophie's father died, leaving her vulnerable, Araminta seized her stepdaughter's inheritance and twisted her fate. Instead of honoring her late husband's wishes, she reduced Sophie to the status of a servant within her own home, cloaking her cruelty in the guise of duty. To society, Sophie became invisible, hidden in plain sight. And for Araminta, this invisibility was a victory, a way to erase the girl's existence while profiting from her silence. But Sophie is no ordinary victim. Though her spirit has been battered by years of servitude, she dares to dream, dares to hope, and ultimately dares to defy. Her night at Violet Bridgerton's masquerade ball is proof of her quiet rebellion, a stolen evening where she tastes freedom and love. For Araminta, however, this act of defiance is nothing short of betrayal. And betrayal, in her eyes, demands vengeance. What follows is a descent into cruelty. Araminta's punishments grow harsher, more humiliating, designed to remind Sophie of her place. Tasks become endless, freedoms vanish, and insults sharpen into threats. Yet the true cruelty comes not from the labor, but from the knowledge that Sophie's suffering is intentional, a twisted pleasure for the woman who holds her chains. When Sophie's connection to Benedict Bridgerton threatens to surface, Araminta's malice reaches its peak. The idea that her stepdaughter, a mere servant, could catch the eye of a Bridgerton is more than scandal. It is, to her, an unforgivable challenge to the order she has worked so hard to enforce. In her rage, she takes her cruelty to a level beyond mere abuse. Sophie is imprisoned, her freedom stolen under false charges. As Araminta plots to rid herself of her stepdaughter once and for all, this is not gossip. This is not petty rivalry. This is villainy at its most chilling, a deliberate attempt to destroy Sophie, body and soul. For daring to step beyond the invisible boundaries of her class, Lady Araminta emerges not simply as an antagonist but as a storm. Unpredictable, destructive, and impossible to ignore, she embodies the darkest side of Regency society, where power and cruelty often walk hand in hand, hidden beneath silks and jewels. Unlike Cressida, who flitted in and out of scandal, Araminta's presence lingers. Her shadow darkens every choice Sophie makes, every risk Benedict takes, and every step closer their love story moves toward its breaking point. In Bridgerton Season 4 finds not just a villain, but a force, a reminder that love stories are sweetest when forged in fire, and that true villains do not merely scheme, they destroy. Scandal is the lifeblood of London society. A single misstep on the dance floor, a whisper overheard in the wrong drawing room, can fuel Lady Whistledown's columns for weeks. Yet when Sophie Beck is dragged from her stepmother's house in chains, accused of theft and disobedience, the city's most infamous gossip writer remains silent. It is a silence so deafening that it startles the Ton more than the scandal itself. Whispers swirl like storm winds. Some say Sophie betrayed her station, daring to believe herself worthy of Benedict Bridgerton. Others claim she is guilty of crimes orchestrated by her own stepmother. But those closest to the truth know better. Lady Araminta has spun a web of lies, paying off constables, bending rules, and manufacturing evidence to ensure Sophie's downfall. For Araminta, Sophie's imprisonment is not justice, it is erasure. To rid herself of the girl forever is to erase the threat she poses, both to her authority and to the fragile boundaries of class. Inside the prison, Sophie endures conditions meant to crush her spirit. Cold stone walls, the stench of despair, and the weight of betrayal press upon her with every passing hour. But even in her darkest moments, she refuses to surrender her dignity. She remembers Benedict's face at the masquerade, his voice, his devotion. Hope is all she has left, and she clings to it like a flame in the dark. Benedict, meanwhile, is thrown into turmoil. The Ton watches him closely, eager for signs of scandal. His siblings, protective yet fearful, remind him of the risks. A Bridgerton involved with a servant is not merely gossip, is a disgrace that could ripple through their family for generations. But Benedict's heart cannot be swayed by reputation. He knows Sophie's imprisonment is unjust, and he knows who is truly behind it. The moment of decision arrives when Violet Bridgerton herself steps forward. A mother first, a hostess second, Violet has long guided her children with gentle wisdom, but in Sophie's plight, she sees not scandal but cruelty, not disgrace but injustice. Together, mother and son devise a daring plan, not merely to free Sophie, but to expose Lady Araminta's crimes for all to see. The rescue is the climax of the season. A stormy night, a prison cloaked in shadows, and two Bridgertons walking into danger with resolve in their hearts. Benedict, driven by love, demands Sophie's release, his voice echoing through the stone halls. Violet, armed with evidence of Araminta's embezzlement and deceit, confronts the officials complicit in the scheme. The power of the Bridgerton name, combined with undeniable proof, leaves the jailers no choice. The gates swing open, and Sophie steps into the light, battered but unbroken. It is more than a rescue. It is a declaration. In that moment, Benedict chooses Sophie openly, defying the rules of class and the weight of scandal. And in Violet's support, Sophie finds not just an ally but a family ready to embrace her. Lady Whistledown may remain silent. But her silence speaks louder than ink. For once, words are unnecessary. The scandal itself, the audacity of love triumphing over cruelty, is too powerful for even London's sharpest quill to contain. While the heart of Bridgerton's season 4 beats strongest in Benedict and Sophie's forbidden romance, the series never forgets its larger canvas. Each season is not only a love story but a stepping stone, preparing the ground for the siblings who have yet to take center stage. And this time, the spotlight begins to shift subtly toward Eloise and Hyacinth, who emerge from the background with stories of their own stories that promise to shape the future of the Bridgerton legacy. Ever sharp-tongued and restless, has spent past seasons tethered to Penelope Featherington's arc. But with Penelope stepping into her own complicated destiny, Eloise is free to evolve. Season 4 grants her a fresh circle of influence, introducing her to Rosamund and Posy, two new characters who bring a jolt of energy into the Bridgerton household. Their appearance may seem minor, a simple afternoon gathering in Violet's drawing room, yet it is laden with significance. In the easy banter and quick exchanges, we glimpse Eloise's hunger for intellectual connection, her yearning to forge friendships on her own terms rather than within the confines of society's expectations. Hyacinth, by contrast, has been the family's mischievous shadow, lingering at the edges of scenes with childish glee. But in Season 4, her role matures. Hosting the Lee sisters alongside Eloise, Hyacinth is no longer simply a background presence. She is tested with responsibilities, granted dialogue that reveals wit and charm, and begins to display the spark of a heroine in waiting. For viewers familiar with Julia Quinn's novels, these moments are quiet promises. Hyacinth's season will come, and when it does, she will be every bit as compelling as her elder siblings. Rosamund and Posy themselves are noteworthy additions. Unlike the noble families who have long dominated the Bridgerton social circle, the Lees bring a freshness to the series. Their perspectives add variety, expanding the show's exploration of class and character beyond the rigid walls of the established ton. Their friendship with Eloise and Hyacinth not only breathes new energy into familiar dynamics but also provides opportunities for future conflicts, alliances, and romances. They are threads carefully woven into the tapestry, not to overshadow Benedict's love story, but to foreshadow the chapters yet to be written. What makes these scenes so striking is their subtlety. The masquerade, the prison rescue, and Lady Araminta's downfall are grand spectacles. But the drawing room moments between sisters and friends are quieter, almost deceptively so, yet they matter. These small interactions plant seeds of anticipation. They remind the audience that Bridgerton is not just a series of isolated romances, it is an ongoing saga, each sibling's journey intertwined with the others, each arc preparing the way for the next. By the end of Season 4, viewers will not only be invested in Benedict and Sophie's triumph but also looking forward to what's to come. Eloise's sharp wit, Hyacinth's blossoming maturity, the Lee sisters' fresh energy, all these elements whisper of future stories waiting to be told. In this way, Season 4 balances the urgency of its central scandal with the patience of long-form storytelling. It reminds us that while one love story may end in triumph, another is always waiting just beyond the horizon. Throughout every season of Bridgerton, one constant has ruled over London society: the voice of Lady Whistledown. Her quill is sharper than any blade, her words capable of elevating one family while ruining another. For years, no scandal has been too small, no indiscretion too trivial, to escape her gaze. Yet in Season 4, when Sophie Beck is cast into prison and the Bridgerton name hovers on the edge of ruin, Lady Whistledown does the unthinkable. She says nothing. The silence sends ripples through Mayfair. If a daughter of the Bridgerton household were to falter, or if a servant dared to entangle herself with a son of such standing, surely Whistledown's pages would be the first to record it. The absence of commentary becomes its own form of scandal. Dinner tables buzz with speculation. Has Lady Whistledown lost her touch? Has her network of informants failed her? Or is this silence